Welcome to the new year. If you thought last year was exciting in the world of cybersecurity, wait until you see the pace of change for 2026. It should be no surprise that the threat actors are getting smarter and the security professionals have new tools in their tool bag to engage in the fight. Given all this change, let's take a look at my 5 cybersecurity predictions for 2026. It's 2026 and the world looks so very different than it did just a year ago. Last year we saw the rise of AI along with new types of attacks on large language models and threat actors who use generative AI to improve ransomware and phishing scams. This year the change keeps coming but at an even faster pace. I thought it'd be interesting for this video to take a look at my 5 cybersecurity predictions for 2026 in lieu of all these changes that are taking place. So number 1 in my predictions for this year deals with AI-driven phishing and vishing attacks. Now, if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that phishing attacks are emails sent to you that are trying to get you to click a link or give up information that you shouldn't. And vishing, with a V as in Victor, is about phone calls to you that try to use social engineering techniques to get you to give up information like a password or a credit card number. So where I think things are going to change this year is phishing and vishing attacks become much more personalized to you as an individual or you as a company. These attacks are going to start to use AI agents in order to seem much more realistic. So agentic AI is the concept of multiple agents working together to solve some greater outcome. So imagine a single AI agent calls you up on the phone to have a conversation. Maybe it starts to tell you they're a client of yours and they want you to know that they're changing their banking and routing information and they need you to send checks to a different banking account. Well, that should obviously send up a red flag right away. But imagine there's other AI agents in the background that are researching you as an individual, your company, who you do business with, who your other clients are, what services you offer, what products you might sell. In that situation, it's feeding the AI agent that talks to you in real time, giving it information it needs to sound realistic like a human and convince you to go ahead and buy the fact that they're changing their banking routing information. Obviously, this can have a negative result if you send a big check to a scammer at a different bank than your actual client. So my prediction for this year is that defenders like security professionals like myself, we're going to adopt AI very cautiously and probably slowly, largely because we don't have huge budgets. But attackers, they're going to start exploiting much faster in a cheaper way, and we're going to see this manifest through phishing and vishing attacks that seem incredibly real. Number 2 prediction for 2026 deals with autonomous defense. Now, there's nothing new about autonomous defense. We've had security tools for a long time that detect a threat and then turn around and defend against it automatically by maybe killing a process on a computer or maybe shutting off a port on a network switch. But my prediction is that this year we're going to see MDR, managed detection and response, start to become table stakes for companies, especially SMB and Mid-Market. It's no longer going to be a premium service. It turns out that autonomous defense and the security tools that do it are certainly achievable to be purchased by clients. But clients are finding it harder and harder to find good qualified security people to use the tools. So they're outsourcing this capability to managed service providers or managed detection and response providers. In that situation, you don't have to have the people yourself. You don't even have to buy the tools. You're paying for someone else to monitor and manage your environment for you. And these tools are getting amazing. They're adding a lot of AI agents to them. You have AI agents that function as SOC analysts, as an example, and can do research on a threat much faster than a human can. So outsourcing your detection and response capability to a third party like a MicroAge, we have a solution called Cyberpoint that does this, is going to be a very popular option in 2026, as it was last year. My prediction is that MDR is going to replace EDR, endpoint detection response, as buyers just come to expect detect and response capability, not just antivirus in their solutions. Number 3 prediction for 2026 deals with identity-first security. So a couple of years ago, Gartner came out with a new term called Identity Threat Detection and Response, ITDR. And there's some great vendors out in the market that have built solutions around this concept, like Huntress as an example, or SecureWorks, who just got bought by Sophos. Microsoft now has capability built into their platform. So identity threat detection and response is about more than just the authentication and the authorization process of identity. It's the idea of monitoring the identity all the time, looking for signs of a bad actor or insider threat, as an example. The truth is, identities become the new perimeter to most organizations and the foundation of zero trust. If you watched my previous videos, you know zero trust is more of a concept than a product, but it's the idea of really evaluating identities and denying all of them unless they meet certain criteria to come in. Here's my prediction. Identity attacks are going to surpass endpoint security attacks this year. So they're going to do that with attacks like OAuth-based abuse, multi-factor authentication fatigue attacks. That's when they send you over and over that text message wanting you to click the link and approve a login. Token theft, SaaS privileged escalations. These are just some examples of identity-based attacks. We're also going to see this year more clients start to finally roll out multi-factor authentication. So in addition to just requiring a password to log in, you also need a token, a multi-factor authentication app, maybe even passwordless. This year, I'll tell you that passwordless is finally here. It's ready to go. So we're going to see more and more companies start migrating over to passwordless-based authentication techniques this year as well. Number 4 in my cyber predictions for 2026 deals with governance, risk, and compliance and how it's going to continue to move down market. In 2026, I believe that CISOs, Chief Information Security Officers, are going to become more of a function than a title for SMB and mid-market companies specifically. Most mid-market companies still won't be able to afford a CISO, most likely in their organization, but nearly all regulated or cyber insured companies will still require CISO level accountability. So normally what a CISO does is they come in and they evaluate all your security controls and make sure you're compliant and make sure you've covered all the bases and all the angles. And we typically do this following a cybersecurity framework like NIST cybersecurity framework if you're not regulated, maybe HIPAA if you're in the healthcare community, maybe CMMC if you're dealing with the Department of War and that agency and surrounding agencies. If you're a managed service provider, maybe you have to follow SOC 2. There's a lot of great security frameworks that give you a very prescriptive set of steps to follow to make sure you're secure. However, my prediction for 2026 is that cyber insurance companies, they're becoming the most influential security frameworks for most SMB and mid-market companies. It turns out that security architecture is going to increasingly be designed backwards, in my opinion. We're going to start with a cyber insurance questionnaire and back into the security controls that should be followed. Now, my opinion is that cyber insurance companies are not necessarily the best security providers. So following their security questionnaire as your Bible in terms of what you should secure in your environment is probably not the best plan, but we're already seeing a lot of companies starting to do this. My recommendation is you should still take a close look at the NIST cybersecurity framework or one of the other frameworks if you're required to follow that for regulation. Number 5 in cyber predictions for 2026 is dealing with email security and how it's evolving this year into human risk management platforms. Last year, we saw several of the big email security vendors like Mimecast and Proofpoint as an example, starting to acquire other companies and expanding their portfolio. What they've figured out is that humans are certainly the weakest link in the chain, but just monitoring our email and making sure we don't click on phishing emails is probably not enough. You also need to think about humans from the perspective of insider threat, those humans who are disgruntled and just want to mess up your environment. Also, just misconfigurations of an environment. You might have an administrator accidentally go in and misconfigure an AWS cloud storage bucket. So these are just examples of how humans make mistakes in an environment. And so these email security companies, are turning into human risk management platform companies. And they have a lot of great new technology you should take a look at this year. So my prediction is that while companies like email security companies have been adding new acquisitions last year, they're combining security awareness training, phishing simulations, behavior analytics, insider threat capability, all merged into a platform. This is the year we're going to start seeing companies start to take advantage of that. If you're a client of Proofpoint, Mimecast, or any of the other email providers, I would highly recommend you take a look at some of the new capabilities they've been rolling out recently. I hope this has been helpful to think about what's changing in the cybersecurity environment, what my predictions are, and just know that you can always reach out to MicroWage. We'd love to chat with you about any of these predictions or how you would mitigate any of these threats. We sell many different common security vendors on the market and provide a lot of security services designed to help you out. Hope this has been helpful. I will see you again next time in the next Cyber Byte video. Thanks.